Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending, and we would like to welcome you and extend thanks to the Gulf Forum in its 12th term. The topic of this session, as well as other sessions that we've attended today, asks the following question. To what extent can we categorize the current situation between a virtual reality and the actual reality? Are we living in two worlds, one of which is virtual and the other is realistic? And are they intersecting so that even what we think is virtual has become realistic, and we do not know in which one we exist, and the amount of time that we spend in following what we call the virtual world, following influencers and so on and so forth, perhaps goes beyond the hours we live actually in our realistic world. The two papers that will be presented in this session discuss two different issues, but they are actually related to the same topic, which is the the impact of influencers in these two different realities. There is the Magdalena Carlock paper on social media influencers as co-creators of Saudi Arabia's tourism image. As for Muhammad Hassan Al-Ka'bi and Abdulrahman Al-Bakir's paper, it discusses the role of influencers in legal awareness. And perhaps we will discover from both papers that what contributes, that the contributions of influencers can go beyond what is done by many specialized ministries and even departments. For example, departments on tourism or legal and legislative awareness. Perhaps influencers can reach sectors that are inaccessible by formal departments and institutions. We will start with the paper of Dr. Magdalena Carlock. She is Assistant Dean for Research and Outreach at the College of Humanities and Social Sciences at Zayed University, UAE. She holds PhD in Linguistics, MA in Political Science, MA in Culture, and BA in French Language. She serves as a non-resident research fellow at the Gulf Research Center in Saudi Arabia. Her research interests include transformations of societies in the MENA region and sociolinguistics, and she has authored many publications.
Okay. All right, so one more time, good afternoon, assalamu alaikum. I would like to first and foremost thank the organizers of this interesting and very important forum for having me here today. I am very happy to be presenting a slightly different topic about social media influencers as co-creators of Saudi Arabia's tourism image. This particular research builds upon two previous research papers that I have completed with a collaborator of mine. Now, what I mean by tourism specifically, I am looking from the point of view of leisure tourism. Obviously, Saudi Arabia is the center of religious tourism and welcomes millions of Muslims from around the world. But leisure tourism is quite a new concept. The first tourist visas were issued in October 2019. They are available online to a number of countries from Asia and also very many Western countries. This shift in terms of rebranding Saudi as a leisure tourism destination, follows the efforts of other GCC entities and countries that use leisure tourism as means of diversification of their economies. So starting with entities such as the Emirate of Dubai very early in 1990s, followed by Bahrain, Qatar, Oman, and to less extent Kuwait. So the Saudi Vision 2030 aims at welcoming 100 million tourists to Saudi Arabia. And actually, if you look at Saudi Arabia, it is a country which is very much endowed with tourism attractions. So it is the largest of the GCC countries. It has a very varied landscapes, from deserts of different colors to the mountains, the very green areas in the southwest of the country. It has the Red Sea. It also has very important monuments which are on the UNESCO heritage list, such as the tombs of the Nabateans, or Diriyah, for instance, in Riyadh. So there is very high tourism potential of this country. However, there are persistent negative stereotypes that may hamper the willingness of people to travel to Saudi Arabia. As a matter of fact, as Saudi Arabia started to issue the first tourism visas, my colleague Noella Michael and I, we did a study over 2020 and 2021 in which we sampled close to 200 Western citizens who were non-Muslims, so they never thought of traveling to Saudi Arabia for a religious purpose, and they have never been to Saudi. And we asked them about the perception of Saudi Arabia as a tourism destination for them. Then we asked them to watch the official tourism campaign that at the time was circulating on BBC and CNN. So we asked them to watch it, and then we asked them about any difference. How did they feel after watching the video? So the majority of the respondents said that after watching the video, they're very surprised about the variety of attractions of Saudi Arabia. However, they wouldn't travel there, and they mentioned a number of negative stereotypes why they wouldn't do it. So what was also surprising actually about the study probably is not that in general, but the fact that we made a difference between Westerners who lived outside of the region and Westerners who were already in the GCC in countries other than Saudi Arabia. And those who were in the GCC already actually had a much more negative stereotype against Saudi Arabia than those who lived abroad. So the closeness to the country, the ease of travel, and maybe some knowledge that they could have by the virtue of already residing in the area actually made them less likely to choose Saudi Arabia as a travel destination. So in order to promote Saudi Arabia, there are 5 official videos, which are the Saudi tourism campaigns. 2 out of 5 actually focus on breaking the negative stereotypes. And at the same time, there were paid international influencers, Western influencers, for instance, who travel to Saudi Arabia. But again, using paid international influencers can be very tricky. For instance, just to give you an example, one female British influencer who focuses on healthy lifestyle, on motherhood. She has a lot of followers in the UK. She traveled to Saudi. She posted very nice photos, but there is a problem of authenticity. Her content is actually on lifestyle, on motherhood. So probably this content about Saudi reached a lot of her followers, but are they really going to travel to Saudi? Yeah, and some of the influencers actually they faced a backlash back home, like they were called out for selling out and so on. So hence my idea for the paper was to actually look at Saudi or Saudi-based influencers in the domain of travel, because those are the ones who will be perceived as authentic. Like they are already there, they're actually experiencing everything firsthand, and they are publishing content which is, which is usually not paid for. So the research aim was to find out how Saudi-based influencers construct Saudi Arabia's destination image. So I'm just going to quickly read the definition of destination image. So it relates to the impressions that a person or persons hold about a destination. It is an idea made conscious and tangible in the mind of a subject or several subjects. Consequently, it is inextricably linked to psychology, with the concept attempting to explain the significance of destination image in a traveler's decision-making and satisfaction, and it is contingent on expectations regarding a destination. Now, if you look at the progress of leisure tourism in Saudi Arabia, obviously it is enormous since 2018 because it started from 0%. However, it's also somehow tricky to find out how many people travel for leisure purposes. Because if you look at Statista, for instance, they mentioned 25% of arrivals are for leisure. But we have also other people who may be traveling there and for instance, going for religious tourism, but also engaging in leisure tourism, staying longer, or visiting relatives and also engaging in leisure tourism. Conversely, we have, based on some informal conversations, some people mentioned that sometimes they travel to Saudi Arabia on a tourist visa, but actually they conduct business. Their companies just ask them to apply for a tourist visa because it's easier to get, so they are not really tourists. So if we look now at the comparison of international travelers to countries, we see that Saudi Arabia, this is by the way data for 2023, so 15.5 million. But if we compare it to other countries like Bahrain, almost 15 million, so obviously most of them coming from the Causeway. But even UAE, just data for Abu Dhabi and Dubai, we can understand that there is very high potential of Saudi Arabia to actually accommodate much more people, yeah, if we just compare it to these smaller countries. So when we look at travel influencers, nowadays they use 3 major social media platforms, that's TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. These social media also align with the generations who are most likely to travel, that's the millennial generation and Gen Z. Those are the generations that focus on experiences rather than materialistic gains. So if they spend money, they want to have an experience rather than buying an object and having it at home. Out of the 3 platforms, I decided to focus on Instagram. I'm most familiar with this platform, but also that platform is more varied. So it includes videos and photos. And at the same time, the content is quite short, unlike YouTube, where it can be a vlog for maybe 20 minutes. Now, I was searching for Saudi-grown influencers. So I asked some of my colleagues who are Saudi or based in Saudi. I also did search on Instagram in order to find out 2 top influencers who would be Saudi by nationality and 2 of them who are non-Saudi. So I have a very long list with different categories. However, I decided to focus on these 4. So the first one is Blue Abaya. That's a nickname of Laura Alhu. She actually claims to have started the first Saudi travel blog back in 2010. She is a Finnish woman based in Saudi Arabia, and she has more than 200,000 followers. The second one is media personality, Saudi, Rajeh Al-Harti, so that's why he has quite a lot of followers, almost 4 million. Next one is Hessa Al-Ajaji, so a Saudi woman. She's a micro-influencer with 73,000 followers. And the last one is Anas Patan. He's a Pakistani who is based in Saudi Arabia, and he has 162,000 followers, so quite large. So what I did, I sampled the 8 last posts for each one of these. It may not seem like a lot, but again, in Instagram, one post can be composed of up to 20 photos. It can be also a video, so in order to analyze a video, you have to dissect it into different frames, so actually it becomes quite a lot of material. And I applied content analysis, critical discourse analysis to whatever was written, also at times semiotics, in order to be able to extract frames. So each one of these influencers has a slightly different take when it comes to promoting Saudi. So Blue Abaya, she focuses a lot on adventure and also luxury. Rajeh focuses on Saudi cultural authenticity. Hessa focuses very much on traditions and heritage and like very deep research and descriptions of what she finds. And Anas focuses on nature and stereotype breaking in the sense of showing Saudi Arabia as a very interesting place to be. So many of his posts start like, you would think Saudi is just a desert, but look at that, I'm here in the mountains and it's green. So very many of his posts like that. Or you think in Riyadh there is nothing to do, but look where I am, look what I'm doing. So he explores the activities in Saudi. Now, after extracting the frames, I decided to compare the results with my previous study, in which me and my colleague, we analyzed the 4 official videos of Saudi tourism campaign with the travel influencers to see what are the frames and what are the differences. So if you look here at the bottom, these are the videos of the official tourism campaigns, and the most important frame was the frame of discovery, so come and discover. And also feelings. What do I mean by that? These videos ask the viewer to transport themselves almost and feel, be part of the video and experience, the attractions or experience the feeling of being in Saudi Arabia. And the third frame was novelty. So again, something new. Now, if we compare it with the travel influencers altogether, the first frame, the most important, was actually nature. So showing the diversity of landscape, the beauty of nature, the greenery, something that is, Saudi Arabia is not very known for. The second most important frame was Saudi people, their hospitality, their culture and traditions. And that is very important because just from informal conversations, the Western colleagues I had who traveled to Saudi, and I asked them what was the most impressive thing from your visit, they said Saudi people. everyone said the hospitality, they didn't expect to be treated like that. So this is like number one from informal conversations. And the third frame is luxury and exclusivity. And that's also something which is very particular for influencers. They try to present a certain lifestyle that those of their followers can aspire to. For instance, to be able to travel to an exclusive resort, or to be able to spend some time in a place which is, again, very, very unique. So from that, we see that travel influencers can actually greatly help to enhance the campaign or the creation of the Saudi destination image, because they focus on different frames. And again, they can be perceived as like authentic creators. So it's complementary. But on top of that, some of the influencers also really dig deeper into the Saudi culture or into the Saudi customs. They obviously post more often, and they look for little gems that may not be even known to some of the Saudi society. So for instance, if you look here at the top video, you see Hessa. She is walking in the Wadi Taib al-Ism, that is believed maybe to be the crossing point of Prophet Musa, so Moses, through the Red Sea. And she actually writes about it. She brings, this type of a narrative, and she kind of emulates that, passage in her own photo. And in general, in her post, she looks for, things which are historic. She asks people, and there's a lot in terms of like bringing up stories or bringing up, heritage that maybe is not known even to Saudis. If you look here at the bottom, this is Rajah. So he travels throughout Saudi and also discovers different customs and traditions. For instance, he traveled to one area in Najran. He started his post saying that his father told him that people over there are very hospitable. So he went to see himself whether his father was true, and then he obviously writes that he was received even much better than what he could have imagined. So he showcases, for instance, clothing, even and traditions from different areas of Saudi Arabia. And we see the two influencers who are non-Saudi. So that's Blue Abaya. She has a lot of posts, again, celebrating the beauty of Saudi Arabia, but also celebrating the national emblem. So that's on the National Day. Again, that's Anas, so spending time in a luxury resort. So overall, we can see that that the influencers can really, help support and help appeal these audiences who are their followers, in order to co-create the image that would be authentic and that would appeal to people to travel there. And obviously, you can see different levels of performativity depending on Saudi and on Saudi nationals. So with Hessa, for instance, she doesn't usually photograph herself from the front, always from the back. But with Anas, you see obviously him in a swimming pool, very relaxed. So overall, I conclude that influencers can significantly enrich the destination image. So apart from these official frames that are used by the Saudi tourism campaign, they bring a unique perspective, so lesser known attractions, they post more often, they bring out cultural traditions and also moments of hospitality, which I said could be a really important selling point to people outside of Saudi Arabia. They also bring the luxury experiences, which can have an aspirational dimension. And obviously, we see the difference between Saudi and expatriate influencers, with Saudi using Arabic as the language, and also at times being closer to the traditions because they speak Arabic or maybe they have connections in the country. But both groups offer complementary value. So expatriates would resonate more with global audiences, while Saudis would contribute maybe more culturally grounded narratives, also appealing to other people in the Gulf region, so domestic but also regional travelers who would come and discover the beauty of Saudi Arabia. Now, obviously, this study has limitations because I focused only on 4 influencers, but currently with 2 other colleagues, we are going to complete a study on all the types of influencers. So the paid, non-paid, those who pass through Saudi Arabia and again, or passed through many countries, among them Saudi Arabia, and they wrote about Saudi Arabia, and those ones that are here. So we are planning a study including 15 influencers, very comprehensive. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Magdalena, for this interesting presentation and committing to time. The second paper is by Muhammad Hassan Al-Ka'bi and Abdul Rahman Al-Bakir, starting with the Muhammad Hassan Al-Ka'bi, Dean of College of Law and Assistant Professor of Civil Law at Qatar University, holds a PhD in law from Washington University, St. Louis, USA, and he focuses on comparative law and economy and highlighting Anglo-American laws and economic analysis of the law. And as for Abdurrahman Al-Bakir, he is a researcher at the Arab Center for Policy Studies. He teaches at Qatar University, holds a master's degree in history from the Doha Institute for Graduate Studies. He previously worked as a researcher in the Committee for Recording National History in Qatar. His research interests center on the legal and social history of the Arab Gulf states, in addition to collecting and classifying local oral memory. He founded and managed several cultural initiatives that bridge between academia, culture, and society. The paper prepared will be presented by both researchers, is under the title From Legal Jurist to Influencer: Traditional Structures of Legal Education Confronting Social Media Legal Personalities. What drew my attention in the summary of the paper in the booklet is that in spite of this transformation from a traditional legal jurist influencer or a legal jurist to a virtual influencer, is the fact that this didn't make the transformational leap that we were seeking in legal awareness. And I believe that this is an important point that we need to think about and contemplate on. The first impression should makes us think that a great difference was made, but this is something that we need you to shed light on. We start with Mr. Muhammad Al-Hassan. You have 20 minutes. 10 minutes each. You may have 1 or 2 extra minutes, but that's it. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, peace and God's mercy and blessings be upon you. First, we would like to thank the Arab Center for organizing this forum, which discusses 2 very important topics and giving us the opportunity to meet with this elite of academics, exchange ideas and discussions with them. We need to disclose that the title of our paper is From Legal Jurist to Influencer: Traditional Structures of Legal Education Confronting Social Media Legal Personalities. And we don't mean a confrontation. We're talking about them being vis-a-vis one another. So this is a new phenomenon in Qatar, which is the legal influencer on social media. Lawyers or law graduates who introduce themselves on social media as a source of information or legal advice, close to people but away from formal traditional channels of education such as law colleges or faculties and ministries. This doesn't go in line with the public discourse, so it is a non-elite discourse or a tone of voice, and so the legal information remains in the class or in the court house, but they contribute to getting it out via the phone. So this could be legal awareness raising, but this transition from an academic discourse into a popular viral discourse makes us assume that this transition would transition this legal discourse to create an important level of constructive interaction. But we argue that what is happening is different. What is happening is transition in the media or the means of this knowledge. This transformation creates many problems. How does today's law represent itself? Who has the right to raise legal awareness? And we have added value by formal actors, be it by formal actors or by popular actors and legal representatives. And how does this affirm people's relationship with the law that regulates them? Since this is a new phenomenon in the Qatari context, then work is still under scrutiny, and so we cannot answer all of the previous questions. In an attempt to answer the question, this paper is based on a main hypothesis, which is that the traditional tools of institutions to have outreach with the community is based on a formal methodology that provides the law as rights and duties, raising awareness in the law. But this new actor, having these digital tools to have outreach with the audience, and they don't have the formal procedures that govern institutions. These actors were not successful in making this a topic for discussion. They reproduce the same discourse in an individual manner that summarizes the content. They provide the legal verdicts and content quickly without any legislative framework or judicial framework, and it keeps us away from active social interaction. Before beginning the analysis, I will try just quickly to talk about some main concepts in the legal context within the concept framework on which the paper functions. The legal awareness wearing is for spreading awareness or disseminating legal awareness among people about their rights and responsibilities and the impact of legislations on their daily life. This is not limited to academic education. It also includes media activities and programs that makes this law part of their general knowledge. It turns from rigid texts to things that they can use to understand the reality. This paper uses a number of interconnected concepts. Legal awareness, and by that we mean individuals' awareness of laws and committing by them, knowing the law, how to deal with it, and accepting that it is compulsory. Also understanding legal concepts and the social framework that reflects the importance of law in the community and the impact of the law. The impact of law in the community at three levels: the conformity of behaviors of people, understanding the law and how to apply it in their life, and this cannot be achieved without acceptance of the law. And the fourth concept is the legal jurist, someone who is specialized in law, and it's not limited to understanding legal texts, but it goes beyond that to interpreting them, analyzing them, and criticizing them, and having or summarizing general concepts of these laws. And the fifth concept is the legal influencer, a new actor that provides legal content via social media. And the paper shows that legal awareness and culture is the basis for the community's relationship with the law, and legal impact or influence is the result sought by this kind of education. The legal influencer is a new actor that plays a role in parallel with what is done by the legal jurist who doesn't have these tools, and it might look complicated for the audience. Social media can be an extension of what we can call alternative media or alternative means for legal education, because in this theoretical framework, we will answer the questions by discourse analysis, focusing on two discourses, the first of which is institutional discourse. And here we look into the Qatar University legal education and their legal clinic and program, and their social role, and the efforts of the judicial and legal institution in the Ministry of Justice. This is part of their mandate to spread awareness and develop awareness among the various groups of the society. As for the second discourse, it is the popular discourse. We can see two samples in the paper of legal influencers on social media by studying a number of segments or videos in Instagram or Snapchat. The first sample has over 40,000 followers, and second sample has over 20,000 followers on Snapchat. And Mr. Abdul Rahman Al-Bakir will continue with the second part. Thank you.
We will start by analyzing the discourse through an institutional perspective, then the popular or populist perspective. I apologize for the technical hitch. I'll start with the institutional discourse. The research conducted by the School of Law at Qatar University sees that the material offered to the public is done through an academic and the popular one is involves the students to provide free of charge popular advice to the people who cannot afford lawyers. Documents indicate that the legal surgery shows that there is a difference to the rest of the academic material or syllabus. This is also not from the top to the bottom or the top to the top, if we can call it that, because it's provided through the professor to students without a real interaction with the targeted groups, as it is indicated in the introductions to it. And these documents do not reveal any mechanisms to reach out these groups, except through some government agencies and ministries like the Qatar National Library or the National Committee for Human Rights. Here there is a complaint that this challenge is not being transferred into a possibility of presenting facts to the audience, and this somewhat limits this discourse because the legal surgery provides a very narrowly focused discussion, unlike the public space for a more public debate. And whether the contact is with other government agencies or counterparts, the other the legal education or teaching legal culture, which is directed to those who are not familiar with the legal things, and it involves the law of labor, the constitutional law, and others, to provide students with the daily knowledge they want, but still confines itself to the bounds of legal presentation and academic presentation, which requires an expert to explain it and is not presented as open material that the public can understand and discuss, and there is no space for a public discussion, and it's the all function or the focuses on the functions of lawyers as practitioners of law. Now we move from the material taught by universities to a more public thing. The workshops and the awareness-raising programs offered by the center will find that it focuses on cyber crimes, respecting law and order, confining to the law, and does not focus on integrating individuals on what these laws mean and to the principle of justice, because it focuses on small age groups. And also the material published by the center focuses on the behavior of the public rather than educating the public as to what the essence of the law is. So it is a system of discipline rather than a system of participation. And all these activities by the center or the curricula taught by universities suffer from some limitations. It does not invest enough in the digital tools to reach a wider audience, neither does it develop the kind of an atmosphere of discussion where the public can find themselves in an interactive way engaging with law. Rather than that, they only find the opportunity to be taught and dictated to. The digital analysis we conducted to one of the two most important accounts dealing with educating people about the law reveals a new image, and that is a popular image of the lawyer himself relying on his or her own practice to build the kind of influence and impact. The account sometimes offers advice on some financial crimes, on professional complaints, or libel crimes, etc. And this shows this aspect of the digital then. Because they use words like beware, do not allow a stranger to ride with you in your car, be aware of how you spend your money. Sometimes the language is closer to colloquial language, and it recalls on the experience of the lawyer rather than giving or providing a logical explanation of the law and its stipulations. The other account deals with more of Sharia things like not giving up property after sale, problems of men and women spending time together without the presence of a family member, etc., etc. The common denominator for these accounts is they're all based on quick advice in response of a question or a trend going on, and the lawyer participating in the discussion through providing his legal opinion without linking that to the wider aspect of citizens' awareness of the law. And the legal influencer seems superficially that they're closer to people than the traditional, conventional institutions, because he deals with them directly through their smartphones. He uses a simplified language, but ultimately he presents the law as a set of orders and do's and don't do's, or ready-made advice which can consumed quickly, and the law is presented as a tool of intimidation or discipline. And the official discourse differs from the digital discourse. At the knowledge structure, the law is presented as a specialized subject that cannot be approached except through official workshop or university curricula. The digital discourse, however, provides legal knowledge in the form of an advice, a short story, and these discourses differ and they are at odds. The first closes it and confines it to a formal language. The second opens it widely to oversimplification sometimes. But the official influencer uses examples and anecdotes from popular life, but more often than not reduces the knowledge into an oversimplified knowledge. The formal discourse relies on the law itself and its articles and stipulations, but the influencer recalls his expertise without providing evidence to that. The institution monopolizes the right to speak for the law itself, and the influencer uses his own personal experience and for the formal thing, it focuses on the functionality of the law. The influencer's language focuses on behavior, and the legal institution produces the kind of knowledge which cannot be changed into public knowledge easily. The influencer identifies for the citizen what will happen to the citizen if he or she does something wrong, but does not show how the law can take care of his interests. In summary, there is a competition between the two discourses for Qatari society, and the traditional legal jurists, like university professors, have not succeeded in turning law into a common subject of interest, and the influencer did not succeed either. He produces individual knowledge based on popularism, and the solutions provided are already made without delving deeply enough. And the question now which remains open: how can we as institutions, as citizens, as influencers, how can we reintroduce educating people about the law in a model away from the institutional one or the digital one? Thank you.
على هذه الإحاطة الشاملة.
Muhammad and Abdurrahman for this comprehensive presentation on their valuable paper. And now we will give the opportunity to ask questions and remarks. We have limited time. We will not be able to take all questions. We'll start from here. Can you please introduce yourself? Peace and God's mercy be upon you, Professor Ahmed Khaldi. أنا عميد كلية الأعمال والإدارة في الجامعة العربية. سؤالي للدكتورة ماجدالينا.
Questions. The first one is that you said that influencers have positive effect. How did you reach this conclusion? Because your research methodology is descriptive. You did not measure the effect on the audience. You concluded that they are doing so and so and so, so you think that the effect is positive. So as a step forward, I think you should measure the effect on the audience rather than describe what influencers are doing. The second question is the reason for negative stereotypes for those who reside in the GCC. Was it explored further or not? The third question is the internal cultural shift in Saudi Arabia and the role of this shift in promoting outside tourism. Thank you.
To leave. But yeah, I never said that the effect is positive because we didn't measure it. So what I said is that it's complementary. Their content is complementary to the Saudi official tourism campaign. So that way they can join hands and promote Saudi Arabia together because they are, using different elements in order to promote. So we never measured it. When it comes to the negative stereotypes among those who reside in the GCC, no, we did a survey, so we didn't ask them why they had them, but actually what were these negative stereotypes. So we don't know the reason why. And actually we were very surprised because our hypothesis was that they are going to travel to Saudi because they are close by. And your third question, I think?
The role of cultural shift in promoting tourism
in
Saudi Arabia, internal cultural shift.
So definitely there is a growth of domestic tourism. So some of these influencers, probably those who are Saudi and who post in Arabic, they reach local tourists. However, the issue is the external image. So even that there is so much change that is happening, it's very difficult to overcome negative stereotypes that were created over, decades. So this is the issue. And why we specifically focus on studying Westerners, it's because the majority of the countries that can get a visa on arrival are actually Westerners. So we said it's a big segment that has an ease of travel, right? They can just get a visa on arrival. Thank you. And I really apologize because I have to leave for the flight, but I hope whoever has questions can just contact me by email. I really apologize. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hassan. I have a general remark rather than a question. The paper presented by Dr. Ka'bi and Al-Bakir is an important study. However, this study was dominated by the legal nature. You could have done something that is closer to the needs of the people. You indicated that there are platforms that people resort to, and so it could have been possible to explore people's attitudes and their degree of satisfaction regarding these websites, and whether they were capable of fulfilling their legal needs and answering their questions, just like the websites that are now viral and that are fulfilling people's nutritional and medical needs and questions, and where sometimes they don't even need to visit a physician. Yaqub Muhammad Al-Harthi, thank you to the Dr. and Mr. Abdul Rahman for this important research paper. And indeed, what we see nowadays in social media, including legal information, some of which is good, some of which is bad, some of which is just fabricated stories by some people. What I see in this paper is confusion in terminology. For example, you're mentioning legal awareness and then legal education, and then you're talking about the legal jurist when you mean an expert or a specialized person, and then you talk about the legal influencer. So the paper is saturated with all of these terms by the end of the day. I don't know why this paper was drafted. Is it a critique? Does it critique this phenomenon? Are you against that phenomenon? Or are you pro the regulation of this phenomenon? And there's confusion when you compare the Qatar Foundation or government foundations or institutions as institutions or fatwa or verdict, final verdict, and not awareness. Like Dr. Baqir said, he said there are websites that provide medical consultancies and some advice on litigation and so on and so forth. So I believe there's some confusion between real legal verdicts and decisions and general legal awareness related to the public. And last but not least, are you critiquing this phenomenon, or are you supporting this phenomenon, or are you supporting its regulation? Thank you to both researchers, Al-Ka'bi and Al-Bakir. My question is about legal consultancies, so that they are not subject to this populist movement. Can't we have communication, direct communication between the seekers of legal aid or legal consultancy and legal advisory and consultancy centers so that they can get more details and to protect their privacy? Shay Bosley from Jalfa University, Algeria. I would like to thank Mr. Muhammad Hassan Al-Ka'bi and Mr. Al-Bakir for this valuable intervention. And my question is related to what the gentleman said. Can we have a bridging between the populist discourse and the digital content by having startups, legal consultancies, grouping legal academics to provide advisory and consultation? Also, are there legal regulations and controls that would hold influencers accountable when they provide wrongful consultancies to a citizen with their problems? Do you understand my question? Thank you. Salman Amin. I would have liked for Dr. Magdalena to stay with us, but unfortunately she left. And I believe this is something that's been happening throughout the conference. There is an Orientalist perspective to some things. The doctor was talking in seclusion of the moral weight of that study. She's talking about the first point, which is the co-contributors, partners, but at the same time she's saying they're not co-contributors or they're not paid. So regardless, the second point is the stereotypes. The stereotype that she talked about. What is the source? What is the source of these stereotypes? Do they have any reality to them? And their audience, which is Westerners, we're talking about these Westerners. Are we dealing with them the same way we deal with non-Westerners, non-Westerner tourists? So there is a materialistic logic, functional logic to market this kind of tourism, regardless of any moral problematics. And such Orientalist approach to the Gulf, superficial approach, unfortunately, she's not here to respond. Thank you. Peace and God's mercy be upon you, Dr. Abdullah Hamad Al-Khaldi, Director of Legal Studies Center at the Ministry of Justice. First, I would like to extend thanks to Dr. Muhammad Al-Ka'bi and Mr. Abdurrahman Al-Bakir for their presentation today, which was quite valuable. I have one comment on legal education and the role of the legal studies in this education. Yes, that is part of our mandate at the center, and this mandate. When we started with the center 14 months ago, I said to the management and to the section that legal education is the role of the legal community. It is not exclusive to the legal studies center, but we manage it, we encourage it, and we give opportunities for this kind of education. So we conducted a study to increase products for legal awareness and education, to expand the influence on the community and raise their awareness, starting with awareness raising workshops for school students to instill legal values, and using videos that you can see. I don't know if you've seen the video by the Ministry of Justice that was viral even outside the state of Qatar. And it was an innovative idea attempting to make emotional difference or change in the community. We also have upcoming projects when it comes to legal awareness and care. We started working with platforms such as Nadib electronic platforms to sponsor them in order to support and encourage legal education in the community. We'll give the opportunity to Dr. Muhammad and Mr. Abdul Rahman to answer the questions, queries, and remarks. You said that there is a problem with terminology, and the bodies that we mentioned are related to legal verdicts. First, we're not supporting or opposing anything. We are not against this phenomenon. It is a phenomenon that exists not only in Qatar, it is on the US as well. It's called law talk, because the legal discourse might not be understood by the audience. We're talking about an elitist centers. They are not centers that are only concerned with verdicts. For example, I do not have the right to issue any verdicts. And as for the other terms, they are real and authentic terms, and I don't know which term you find a problem with, being supportive or opposing something. It is just a phenomenon that exists and reaches a real audience. There is a video. I saw only a video by your center with 72 views only. I'm giving you a quick legal information here. You take it out of context and then you say 1 + 1 equals 2. But it's not that simple. These influencers oversimplify it. And actually, I'm a lawyer. A friend called me about a legal case, and he told me about the case proceedings, and I gave him a response, and he said the judge gave me a different verdict. And I said, can I see the file? He gave me 300 pages. So he explained the case in 2 minutes, but they are 300 pages. When I read it, I said, to be honest, the judge was right, and the verdict was based on 1, 2, 3, 4. You're talking about a 300-page file, which you explained in 2 minutes. And so there is someone reaching the audience. And as an academic, I'm not reaching the audience, but to them, this is an accessible person. But if they give the information without any accountability, because they're not talking with a conference or consultation, they're saying just 1 + 1 equals 2. The question is, does this not cause a problem with the person who would go to the court and find a different verdict and feel like they were subject to injustice. So we need regulation of the situation. So this name in the USA is subject to criticism as well, and there is a great deal of research. Of course, all of these influencers do not take into accountability the specificity of cases. They don't take into account many other factors. But the fact is, they access the audience. They access the audience. We have a mission in raising awareness. It is the mission of the Studies Center and for us as a college of legal affairs, but they can access the audience and we cannot. And so we do not demand an end to this phenomenon. We want it to be regulated, and that's it. I believe we answered that question. What is the second question? In relation to the terms, there was a problem presenting all of our paper in such a short time. This is why there was some confusion between impact, legal education, and legal awareness, and each term is different from the other. That's the answer to Mr. Yaqub. As for the proposal of Dr. Baqir regarding measuring people's satisfaction about these accounts, in our paper, we were studying the discourse on these accounts on social media and comparing them to the institutional discourse, traditional institutional discourse. And by the end of the day, they share the legal regulations the way they were published in the formal Gazette or National Gazette, without any political framework for the establishment of these laws or opening any door for social interaction with this base. And as for the gentleman from Algeria who asked a question about errors committed by legal influencers. Can I answer? Go ahead. This is a problem with legal education. There's a gray area between education and advice. He's giving me information, but this is consultancy. And people deal with these videos as compulsory directions of their behavior. Perhaps the content doesn't take into consideration the specificity, the full case, the accountability, professional accountability. I'm speaking, I'm not giving you consultancy. I'm just talking to the audience. Cases might differ. And verdicts might be the same, but circumstances are infinite. People are active beings and they always think in a certain way. They have certain behaviors. And so here we do not have any professional accountability for these people, and this is my main concern. They don't have any accountability, and the legal discourse turns from awareness into a misleading information, even if it's with good intentions. Of course, it needs to be regulated and it needs to be subject to legal criteria. And so, to give you an example, during COVID pandemic, everyone was working online, and I was teaching leases, rental leases, and my students said, "Doctor, we are not paying any rent." I asked why. They said because the newspaper said there is a force majeure that exempts us from that or dire circumstances. They said that this is something that cannot be expected. So in force majeure, we're saying that someone cannot fulfill their commitments. In my circumstances, as Muhammad Al-Ka'bi, I am renting a house and I am teaching you. Can I pay rent? You can. Was I affected economically? I am doing my job. So even if we talk about rental leases and the case of not paying this rent. You need to look at each case separately. We need to think about the hypotheses and the verdicts. That is all. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Muhammad, Dr. Abdulrahman, and we thank Dr. Magdalena as well. We adjourn the session and we